America has Trump, Russia has Putin, China has what neither of them can ignore: Africa, a continent with enormous mineral wealth, critical trade routes, oil and gas, and a population of more than a billion people. And most importantly, the youngest population on planet Earth. For decades, powerful countries have actually come to Africa to compete for influence, but something has changed in this era. African governments are becoming more willing to say we will work with whoever serves our interest, and that is creating a new geopolitical competition. So the question isn't about will Africa choose America, China, or Russia. The question is, will Africa take deals that will favor them? For a long time, many people looked at Africa from one simple lens: poverty, aid, conflict, bad leadership, and debt. But geopolitics doesn't work that way. Great power look at Africa and they see strategic assets, they see resources, they see markets, they see military geography, they see future consumers. This is why Africa matters. Not because Africa needs the world, but because increasingly the world needs Africa. Think about what is happening around the world. The global economy is becoming increasingly dependent on critical minerals. Electric vehicles need battery, data centers need enough electricity. Advanced technology requires specialized minerals. Defense industry require raw material. And Africa possesses enormous amount of all these resources. And that is why the global economy needs Africa. But the resources aren't the only reason. Africa sits between the Atlantic Ocean and the Indian Ocean. The continent connects Europe and the Middle East and also Asia. The Red Sea, the Gulf of Guinea, the Horn of Africa, the Sahel, these aren't just places on the map. These are strategic corridors. Control, access, influence in these regions can matter, and enormously, it matters to global powers. And then there is this demographic story. Africa population is growing rapidly. Our cities are expanding. Our digital economy are actually expanding. Our consumer market is expanding. So if you are America or China or Russia, you aren't just looking at Africa today. You are looking at Africa in the next 20 years. Now let's talk about Russia. Russia cannot compete with China economically. It cannot match American financial strength. So Moscow tends to compete with where it has particular strengths. In economics, by the way, I'm a graduate of economics, there's something we call comparative advantage. Where you have more advantage, that is the area you should focus on. So what power does Russia have? Russia has military power. It has weapons. It has energy. It has security partnership. It wants to create diplomatic relationship. And this has become particularly visible in most African countries. So when you see Russia coming to the AES or trying to partner with all these African countries, they're trying to create, get advantage where they think they have power. Look at the Sahel region, for instance. These countries have dramatically changed their relationship with France or the West to Russia. Russia has moved to strengthen its relationship with several governments in that region, and that actually matters because security isn't just about fighting terrorists. Security relationship creates political relationship because political relationship creates economic opportunities. So when Russia involves in African security, it isn't simply about guns, it's about geopolitical positioning. Now let's enter America, the greatest nation on earth. United States still possess enormous advantage: the dollar, the technology, financial institution, military power, universities, global corporations, and a huge diplomatic network. But Washington is facing a kind of different problem. Many African countries are increasingly demanding for partnership based on mutual benefits rather than relationship where one dictates the rule. And this is where Trump's approach becomes very interesting. Trump's foreign policy is generally more transactional. The question becomes, what are we getting in return? Security, corporations, trade, minerals, strategic assets that can create opportunity for African countries. But if America wants something and Russia wants something and then China wants something, African leaders potentially have more leverage if they know how to use it. And then let's talk about China. China's approach to Africa has often been different. They come with infrastructure, loans, construction, technology, telecommunication, mining, manufacturing, China has spent years building economic relationship with African continent. Railroads, railways, roads, ports. In fact, the Zambian airport, I think they are the ones, is it airport or seaport? They are the ones managing it. Power projects, industrial facilities, and Chinese companies are becoming major players in many African economies. But here is where Africans need to think carefully. Foreign investments can build infrastructure. It can create jobs. It can transfer technology. It can expand trade. But investment isn't charity. China has interest. America has interest. Russia has interest. France has interest. Every major power does. And that brings us to the most important principle in this entire video. Countries don't have friends. They have interest. And now let's talk about Nigeria. Nowhere is this more important than in Nigeria. Nigeria is not just an African country. It's the most populous nation, black nation. It is a major oil and gas producer, a huge consumer market, a major military and diplomatic power in West Africa, and a country that sits in the center of Africa's most important region. That makes Nigeria valuable to America, to Russia, to China, and to Europe, and to other emerging powers. Nigeria therefore has an opportunity. It can build relationship with multiple players or power, and it can negotiate. It can attract investment. It can seek technology. It can strengthen security cooperation, but there is a danger. The danger is simply replacing one dependency with another. Imagine Africans say, we are tired of the West, and then we move to Russia, or we move to China, or any other foreign power. Have we actually become really independent? The truth of the matter is that we are not. The name of the partner just changed, but the structure of dependency remains. Real sovereignty means something much harder. It means building ability to negotiate with everyone. It means having strong institutions, strong economies, strong local industry, skilled workers, and reliable infrastructure, stable electricity, and government capable of defending their national interests. That is power. The new scramble is the reason why I believe that we're entering a new scramble for Africa. But this time, Africa has something it didn't always have before. Options. The first scramble of Africa was in 1884, where Africa were actually divided like cake in Berlin. But this time around, one African government can talk to Washington, Berlin, Beijing, Moscow, Brussels, Ankara, Paris. One African government. But then we didn't have that. So the competition gives African government choices. But choices alone become power when you know how to negotiate. Otherwise, you simply become a prize, and that is the danger. Will Africans win? If foreign competition brings investments, technology, infrastructure, jobs, and stronger bargaining power, Africa can benefit enormously. But if foreign powers extract resources or African elites capture the benefit, then Africa simply becomes the battlefield. Again, different century, different player, same outcome. And lastly, Africa doesn't need to choose between America, Russia, or China. Africa needs to become powerful enough that it can deal with all three on its own terms. And that may be the biggest geopolitical story of this next decade. If you want to understand the forces shaping Africa's future, subscribe to Mind Affair. See you some other time. Bye.